Today is an amazing day. On with me right now, I have Juan Diego Santamaria, and he is a previous client of mine who has going to share some success stories with working with the practice method. He's a loving husband and father who enjoys fitness, spirituality, and helping humanity the best way that he possibly can. And he is in the industry of insurance.
Correct. Insurance and property and casualty insurance.
Very good. Tell a little bit of background about yourself so people can get related to who you are, what you did prior, and then we'll get into some questioning and see how your life has been transformed by all the different teachings that we've been working together on.
Yeah, well, I was born in Colombia. My parents came here in 1975, my dad, and then I came in 1976 with my mom. So I did grow up here. My siblings were born here. And then in 1984, my father, who previously played professional soccer, was given an opportunity to participate with a professional soccer team that was being developed in Colombia. So he decided to go back. I did go to Colombia for a few months, but I didn't get adjusted to the system. So I came back and I lived with my uncle. And then after graduating in 1988 from Carnegie High School in the Bronx, I returned to Colombia and I studied a vocational career in aviation. I had the privilege of flying for a while. I flew as a co-pilot, but the airline started merging with other airlines, and then a lot of cuts were made. For a while, I wasn't flying. So I decided to come back to the States and just be open to possibilities. And I came back and things started developing in a different field,
Mhm.
the service field, which was servicing clients in the insurance industry. Then I met my beautiful wife, and just things developing. We became great friends. And but what I did was I started loving myself. And how did I do that? By taking salsa lessons. And by being open to taking salsa lessons, that's how I met Marina. We started dating, and the rest is history. I asked her if we can start dancing, and she's been dancing with me for over 16 years now.
Wow. Wow. So from a relate, and you have beautiful children, right? And
Two
so
beautiful
that,
daughters.
yeah. So from the perspective of relationships and love, sounds like there is a tremendous amount of loving how your life is and the way it has turned out in the area of love and relationships.
Yeah, it has. I mean, at the beginning, there were moments when we had our differences and we had our obstacles, but that's what allows us to love each other more when we are able to overcome those obstacles together. And things were smooth. I mean, it wouldn't be a strong relationship if things were easy. When things are hard and you as a couple overcome things together, that strengthens the relationship and it binds the relationship to be stronger. Love develops from overcoming obstacles together.
Yeah. Amazing. So that's great because it shows the way things are. It comes from a place of the way things were. And obviously, there's a perspective of looking at a future that you would love to have. So, if we could just maybe go back and look at some other areas of your life that they were a certain way, and maybe you didn't see yourself having the possibility. You mentioned about possibility earlier and exploring possibilities. I want you to just go into that a little bit and maybe focus on an area of your life where you really didn't think things would shift. And now all of a sudden they have. But I want you to give us some background on what it was beforehand. And then talk about the shift a little bit, the journey along the way. What did you discover and how is it now?
I'm going to mention the financial situation.
Okay.
When I was in the process of developing the relationship with Marina, I was working as a bartender and things were going well. I was making good money. And then in 2010, the entity I was working for, the ESPN zone, closed its doors and I was left unemployed. And for several months, I wasn't working and I was just getting money from the unemployment. And recently we had just gotten married because we got married in August of 2010. And then through a referral from her brother, I got introduced to New York Life. And working in New York Life, I was only working with commission. So it wasn't a solid income that I was getting. So for many years, she was the breadwinner and the one that was sustaining the the income of the family.
Yeah.
So that sort of affected me in the sense that coming from a Latin background and so what I was brought up with, it should be the man that's the breadwinner.
Right.
So in a way, it did hurt my ego, my masculinity. I just persevered and pushed through, and despite the different jobs that I got, which wasn't making the substantial income that I should be getting, we managed to get through things. And just a few years ago, my income started getting much better, and now things have flipped. I'm sort of the one bringing in the money, and we're working together to grow that to a level where we can definitely say we are in the six-figure income. So persevering, having patience, being grateful that I was getting a job. Even my jobs would come back to back. If I lost one job, another one appeared. I was grateful for that. And just being grateful and being open to things despite the fear, things started developing and a snowball effect. And I just want to mention that being open to a job that I didn't think was going to work, I had the opportunity of meeting our friend Yokari Lara, which now together we're working on building something for the future in the insurance industry.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds, would you say that there's an increased level of comfort, confidence, and an increased level of kind of knowingness, safety and protection? Everything's going to be okay.
Yes, yes. I think you mentioned in your practice, the thoughts that you have can really bring a positive outcome if they're positive.
Yeah.
Because I, after all the experiences that I've had and the conversations I've had with you and in the classes, when you start thinking of so many negative things, you attract those things. So if you try to focus on just having faith and visualizing positive things, they do tend to come and they do tend to appear. So
Yeah.
I believe that the thoughts are very important to have positive thoughts and have faith and believe that and be grateful that what you currently have, what you're grateful for, what you currently have is going to attract more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting about what you're saying is that this is one of the things that I believe it's one of the reasons why it took me so long to figure out how to talk about all these different practices because they're so interconnected. A lot of times we'll talk about one thing, and in you sharing just the few sentences that you just shared, I immediately, as a coach, I immediately went into, well, gosh, there's 5 different laws that are engaging right in that moment that you're talking about. It's you have the law of thinking, and what you think about comes about. Then you have the law of attention. So it's a thing that you think about comes about. And the reason why that happens is because the law of attention, the thing that you focus on is the thing that comes about. So you're actually pulling it towards you, right? And then you have the law of intention. So there's attention and intention. So it's, well, I'm not really intending to have this. What I really want is this. But then we lose sight of the thing that we say that we want because the thoughts take over. And when the thoughts take over and move you into a direction, then all of your attention. So there's these interconnected laws that are all simultaneously working together. And so it is challenging to split them apart, right? Because of the fine It's kind of looking at a tapestry or a rug or a piece of clothing that's woven together and it's trying to pull one of the threads out. Oh, that's just one law that's being used in this tapestry. So they kind of all work together. And that's why when I wrote the practice method and I practice this with clients, is that it's really about understanding each piece and how each piece is working and how it's interconnected to each other. And so you've done really well. I've noticed in the last probably 6 months to a year, a shift. There's been a major shift in your confidence, your action taking, and all kinds of things around that. And so have you noticed yourself the shift that you've been going through? Because I've noticed it. Have you been noticing it for yourself in the past year?
Yeah, I have. I mean, even with simple things, chores at home, the old one, take a step back and just think about it and not take action right away. Now I sort of prepare things ahead of time. Just for example, I'll give you an example with the laundry, for example.
Really, really
Yep.
basic. Everybody
Yeah,
can relate to this, right? Doing a
it's
lot.
it's nobody to do laundry, but I take a step and I prepare and just have the stuff ready. I'll do it the next day very early in the morning, and it's taken care of before midday. Before it would take me forever because I would think about it. I procrastinate, and just the fact of preparing and taking a step to do it, you bring a good energy at home because then it shows that you want to be a team player. You want to make sure that things in the house are taken care of, and before the open, they would just be laid back, easy, and it would create a little bit of friction between Marina and me. But now,
Yeah.
yeah, it helps. It helps because then she sees that I'm taking initiative and that I'm making the effort and that I'm not complaining about it or making a face. I just do it with good intention and I show that I doing this and the
Yeah.
energy is good.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's more in alignment with your integrity. So it's like when you're in a relationship, right? So relationship, there's so many different components to relationship. You have love, you have commitment, you have responsibility, you have integrity, you have communication. There's so many components to it. Intimacy. And the integrity part of it is what you really want, what you're really committed to. And when things you were describing earlier, I know it's a simple topic. You're just talking about laundry here, but
Mhm.
everybody but this is great because everybody can relate to this. It's not about the laundry, right? It's not about it. It's because it's such a simple task. People wouldn't think, how is laundry related to it? It's not. It's really about the commitment, the integrity, the relationship, the what it is that can the words that or the thoughts that are going through your mind and the words that come out of your mouth, and then actually fulfilling on it. Actually doing what it is that you said that you're committed to. Right? That's really what it is. When you said, I know, I love you forevermore, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, that's a commitment, right? And so the procrastination cannot live there. The laziness, procrastination, sitting on your butt, whatever those other things are, not doing the laundry, not doing the dishes, not taking care of all of that is outside of that commitment. It doesn't make sense. So as soon as you line yourself up, as soon as you become in alignment with the thing that you said, which is integrity, right? That's what integrity is. We say things and we commit to things. And the actions, when the actions become in alignment with the thing that we say and the things that we do, then miracles happen. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, wow, this is the way it's supposed to be. This feels great,
Mm.
right?
For example, on Saturday, I had a father and daughter date with Eliana, and we got back. Marina was also outside with Daniela at a birthday party. We got home earlier, and I mentioned to Marina, "What is still early? I can do some laundry today." And she just simply said, "No, let's just take care of it tomorrow." So I said, "Okay, well, what I'll do is when I get home, I'll have it ready for tomorrow," which was Sunday, and I had it ready. And the first thing I did when I woke up, I just went straight to the laundry room and took care of stuff. And then good energy. And then after the laundry, I went to the gym, came back. We had a nice, some food, and then we watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that you now are getting the habit or feeling the habit of staying in alignment with your integrity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you do it once. You have to like work on it, muscle. You have to like new training it and make it stronger and get that habit to become natural.
Yes. Yes. And the more natural it becomes, the more because what I say this in a lot of videos and in the most recent course that I just put out there, the practice method online program, which I know that you've been a part of. And I say in there in many of the videos, so there's this default way of being. The brain is actually running by default all the time. And if we know this to be, if we believe this to be true, we kind of know this as this can be used to our advantage because we can reprogram the subconscious mind to do the things that we want it to do. We can take control of the subconscious mind and we can say how it's going to go. But that takes practice. And when we practice things over and over and over again, it's the things that we repeatedly do with commitment and consistency will end up automatically programming the subconscious mind. And when that gets programmed, our future, which is designed by us now, becomes automatic as well. So it sounds like that's what you're on the road to doing. Is I want to hear about what it is that is there pieces of your future that you want to create that are not there present for you, right? And what you don't have to share your intimate future. I'm not telling you to share with the audience here what it is that you're looking to create, but there's part of it that's, let's say, missing. What are you doing on a daily basis to be and act side of that future self that doesn't even exist yet? What are the things that you're doing on a daily basis that future person who is you, let's say it's the Juan Diego 3.0, right? What is that person doing today to line up that future so that, of course, it happens? Of course, that future is going to happen because you're practicing it right now. It's who you are right now. So, what are those things? Can you give some examples?
Well, I recently listened to a few podcasts that made me think about things. One of the podcasts I listened to was your podcast number 39, which was a hack for a successful 2023, which is mastering responsibility,
Mm,
developing powerful routines, and utilizing the power of realization through visualization and meditation. And then I heard another podcast, which was about how time now is not the same as it was in the past. If you condition yourself to manipulate time where you can have 2 days in one day. So, for example, day one would be from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m.
mm,
And then day two would be from 1 to 6. And the only way I can see that happening, and which is starting to happen now, is to start preparing the week prior to the week that's coming.
yep.
So I'm seeing myself the Juan Diego 3.0 is a Juan Diego that's more productive and is managing time better than the way he used to and the way he's currently managing time.
Mm,
And my goal is to master as many habits as possible that would lead me to a Juan Diego 3.0 that's going to produce 6-digit figure, and it's going to acquire books of businesses that would lead me to generate income, will lead me to sell a business that would lead me to be able to do other things with my time.
mm, yeah. Yeah. So I know that I'm interviewing you and Thank you for accepting the invitation, for being on here. And it's also an opportunity for me to potentially do some live coaching with you on the phone. I mean, right here on the on the podcast. So, are you open to a few minutes of me just sharing something with you and have you then contemplate it for yourself? And then remember, one of the things I always say is that whenever coaching occurs, especially in a group environment, what we can consider this a group environment because you have multiple listeners, potentially hundreds or thousands of listeners, and then they may hear themselves in your scenario. And then by me
Mhm.
providing some type of coaching back, I'm not just coaching for you, I'm coaching for everybody who's listening. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I am open because I mean, in your book, The Practice Method, you have so many chapters that talk about expanding, about exercise. So I look at this moment as an exercise to expand
Mm,
and to learn from whatever we're going to be coached, what I'm going to be coached on. And that we just spoke about it earlier, taking an opportunity and taking action at this right moment to get an exercise that is going to expand my knowledge to become a better version of myself.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So the number one thing, and I think you do this very well, but I'm just going to do it to remind you and also remind everybody who's listening,
Thank you.
or maybe to inform them of something that they've never heard before. Don't make yourself wrong. So
Mhm.
one of the things that we do a lot of the times, our actions, our behaviors, our thoughts, so many things are linked to thoughts and behaviors that make us wrong. We judge ourselves. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do this better. I don't where I'm not satisfied. So if we if it's coming, it's just to notice, right? And I have this phrase that I say often that my mentor taught me, Mary Morrissey, amazing woman. For those of you who are listening and don't know who she is, you should look her up. She's unbelievable. She's in her 80s now, and she's been doing this work for, I don't know, 40 years. And she always used to say, and she still does say, notice what you're noticing. And when I say that to you, it's notice what you're noticing in everything that you're doing. Notice when you're reacting. Notice when you're trying to speak something or share something or create something. And notice when you're trying to control. Notice when you are trying to tell a story about how it's being done or the how to. One of the things that I teach and I coach people on is getting rid of the narrative of trying to figure it out. And it sounds so counterintuitive because so many personal development, performance coaches, life coaches, so many of them out there are definitely action based. They'll say action, action, take massive action. They'll say get up, take action. And there is definitely something to it. There's something to taking massive action for sure. And then there's planning, right? And it's planning it out. I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it. So it's like you're kind of outlining your success. You're saying this needs to happen and then this needs to happen and then this needs to happen. And it almost becomes a set of rules and judgment. Well, if I don't do that, then nothing's going to happen. Do you hear what I'm saying inside of that?
Mhm. Mhm.
And, and what I teach, and it's not that any of that is wrong, because let me tell you, massive action works. Like it does work, right? It can be all exhausting and it can burn somebody out. And it can also make life feel very overwhelming when going towards a goal or a dream. And if there's one thing to pull away from what I was just hearing you say, is to stay away from the outlining of how something might happen. It's okay to like fantasize and say, "Oh, well, oh, you never know. It could be like this and it could be like that," because you're hypothetically saying it might happen this way and it might happen that way. Rather, what I would really to go as far as coach would be, what is one action? Only thing that you need to do is to focus on where you actually want to be, which is the future state. I do this exercise with many clients. I call it time machine, where I bring you 3 years into the future. We meet each other, and then it's tell me what your life is. Tell you what your life is all about. What's life been for you? And it's 3 years in the future. And oh my God, it's been so long since we've seen each other. Tell me what your life looks right now. And it's an exercise of jumping out of the box, of forgetting about how things happened and jumping into a future and describing it in detail. Basically, is the realization practice. That is
Mm-mm.
realization. So you're realizing a future and you're not describing how it all happened. Then the only thing there is to do is when you pop back into the current moment, which is right now, there's this future out there that you've just created. And you all there is to do is to say to yourself, well, what's one action that I can do right now that's leaning in the direction or moving in that action is indicative of something that that future self it would be doing. What's one action I can do from right where I am with the money that I have, from the position that I'm in? What's one thing that I can do now that's in the direction of that future? And when we do life that way, we don't have to figure out the how. We will very soon discover that that future starts moving towards us faster than if we tried to figure out all the steps between A and Z. If that future is Z on the alphabet and you're at position A and you have the 20 plus letter, 26 letters to jump through, just 26 steps to get to Z, then it's going to take you a long time to get there. But if you just say, what's one action? And you allow the universal laws to step in for you. There is a saying in spiritual circles, you don't hear this a lot in personal development circles, that for every step you take in the direction of your future that you desire, that future takes 10 steps towards you. So it's like, because you're just trusting the process. So really what's going on is you're committed that it happens, that it's going to happen. You don't know how, you've given up on the how. You don't know how, but you trust. And so it's in that environment where we trust and we let go of how, that it will fly towards you like nobody's business. Now, I've seen this countless times in my own life, countless times. I have manifested things so quickly sometimes, I'm amazed. How the hell did that happen? It's unexplainable scientifically. And I've seen that also happen in clients' lives. And so what I want to hear from you now is, what are you hearing me tell you from a coaching perspective, and how can you apply that in your own life?
Well, what I'm hearing is I've mentioned to you the habits that I've been taking, but what I need to do is I heard once Denzel Washington in a speech say that without commitment, there's no beginning, but without consistency, there's no end. So I need to be consistent with all the actions that I have taken recently that has led me to this position. And I'm going to consider myself, I'm going to use an analogy as an axe. I'm going to sharpen that axe constantly so that I can bring towards me the future that I desire through consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what you consistently do and repeatedly do with commitment will program your subconscious mind. And what gets programmed into your subconscious mind will become an automatic reality by default. Yeah.
Like, let me just use the fitness example. I visualize myself as a very healthy, active 53-year-old dad. And there's been moments when I've been lazy or there's been a hurdle that's prevented me from going to the gym.
Yep.
And I've overcome the hurdle and I've overcome the procrastination. And my wife's starting to mention to me that she's seen some results in the physique. My energy has gone up. I've recently moved into having a routine before I go to bed, which is stretching, which is something I didn't do before. So what I want to get to is that by being consistent with the exercising, it's also moving me into creating a habit that's related to the fitness, which is the stretching and the commitment of balancing my meals, of eating clean. So when you're consistent with one thing, it leads you to be consistent with other things that starts to sort of build this great wall of the things that you want to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I think that's great. And I think that you've definitely taken a lot of the different tools and practices that you've been hearing me coach on the mastermind calls, as well as within the book and the online program, and really taken them to heart and to practice and to practice them, because that's what it's all. That's why it's called the practice method. It's about
Hmm.
practicing, and it sounds like you're doing that. Amazing. And so what I want to do right now, you shared that you're in insurance. There might be people listening that are like, hey, he's got the same mindset. I'd rather be dealing with somebody who's like that. And hey, I'm looking for insurance. So is there a way that people can get in contact with you, whether it be email or website or anything like that you'd like to share?
Sure. Thank you. Our website is Republic Fin. So it's republicfin.com/S.
Okay. Very good. And is there an email address they can reach out to you?
Yes. Let me get that to you.
What would that be?
That would be ADS at republicfin.com.
Perfect. What type of insurance products do you deal with?
Mostly life insurance products and also final expenses insurance. But once they go onto the website, they'll be able to see the products that we provide. And if they have any questions, they'll be able to contact us and we will be able to assist them with their inquiries.
One last quick question. So, if you were to say or give some feedback or give a helpful tip on a practice that you've learned, whether it be from the practice method or from your own practices that you feel is of the utmost importance to completely transform someone's life, what would that practice be?
Well, there's so many, but we've mentioned it several times, and I would say be open to possibilities, and by being open to possibilities is going to push you to take action.
Mm,
So, for example, my colleague, I needed to get a license in New Jersey, and we only had a small window for me to get that license.
mhm.
I could have easily said, "Oh, what? We're not going to have enough time. Let's just do it another month." But because I was open to the possibility of what would happen, what if I have that license? What's going to happen if I have that license? What businesses am I going to be able to assist? I took action right away, and I was able to get the license within a few days. And then I was able to go with him to provide health insurance for a small business in New Jersey.
Mm,
So you get my point. I took action right away, and I was open to, because sometimes we close ourselves by saying, "Oh, maybe that's not that I don't that's not for me. Maybe I should wait." But if you open yourself to doing it at that moment and taking action, you're opening yourself to great things that you didn't know you could accomplish. I mean, w- I always review your book because all in chapter one it talks about possibility. Chapter two, routines. Chapter three, action. It's in there. Number four, chapter four has commitment. Chapter five has your thoughts, giving thanks, teamwork, being open to work with others. Chapter six has the integrity, the intention, all following your intuition.
mm,
Chapter seven has being a be open to not doing things on your own, but being coached.
yep.
Community, being part of a community, and Chapter 8 has the exercise, the ability to get out of your comfort zone so you can expand. So to speak about one, it might be hard, but I would say action is the one that sticks with me. But all of them in the book, they're all great practices to put into use.
Do you have any upcoming events that you would our listeners to know about, or ways that you mentioned something about an insurance seminar that might be coming up? And I was just wondering if you've solidified dates for that yet, or
We have not. They're to be determined, but we are working with our compliance team to allow us to present some workshops in Spanish and in English so that we can inform the community on the value of having insurance set in place.
that's amazing. Insurance is a mindset. That's one of the things that I teach kind of from an abundance perspective. Many people think of as insurance as it's a luxury, or it's something that they can't afford, or it's too expensive. And in my teaching, I don't talk about this in the book, but when in my master's coaching program, when I get into the areas of abundance and prosperity and finance, talking about all these different things, it's a conversation. Insurance is a conversation.
Mhm.
Everything in life is a conversation. And so when we simply engage in a conversation and be open to, you said, using your words, open to any possibility, a whole new world can show up for us that we never even knew existed.
Mm.
And anybody who's listening right now, I invite you to be open to any possibility. If you don't have insurance, or you're looking for insurance, or you think you should have it but you're not sure, you could always reach out to Juan Diego, who's on the call with us right now. And he left, I will leave your contact information and website and email address. I'll put that inside of the podcast notes. So for anybody who is listening who wants to get in contact with Juan Diego, can do that. And before we go, I just want to say thank you to you, Juan Diego. And I'm really appreciative and grateful for you to be on the call and allow us to record. And we're going to bring it to an end. But I want to give you the last opportunity here to give some final thoughts for the listeners, anything that they could take away, and then we'll just end the call.
No, thank you. And if you, to the listeners, if you want to make a great investment, get the practice method. It comes with a great workbook. It guides you on taking steps to understand the practices in each chapter. And from my personal experience, a lot of the practices on the chapters have really shown new things in my life. So I encourage the listeners to check out the practice method. It's a great investment.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much once again, Juan Diego, for all of your time.
Thank you
And
for the opportunity.
oh, you're so welcome. It's been awesome. It's been amazing. We'll talk again soon.